Okay. All right, Tom, congratulations on your retirement. You have managed to save, oh, our heads are in the way again. You managed to save exactly $1 million. Congratulations. That puts you in rarefied air. And based on some of the research I sent you in advance, we feel that on that $1 million, we're able to build a flexible income of $4,500 a month. That's roughly 5.5% of $1 million. And what these are retirement income guardrails. It creates an upper and a lower guardrail so that we will reduce our income gradually over time during particularly difficult times in the market. The reason that we do this is you might have heard of the 4% or the 3% safe withdrawal rate. Those are linear withdrawal rates, meaning we never change no matter what. I mean, we adjust for inflation, but we never reduce no matter how bad the market gets. Now, historically, that's always worked, but historical rates are based on looking backwards. And if you read any investment disclosure, it says, past performance does not guarantee future results. If we're willing to reduce over time, we can actually start about 50% higher than some of those safe withdrawal rates. And so we wouldn't actually reduce your income at all, Tom, until you drop below $840,000 and stay there for over 3 months. So it gives us about a 20% buffer room. Now that gets a little bit more flexible. Let's say your retirement income budget is slightly more than $4,500 a month, something that would be considered not sustainable long-term, but your pension is going to turn on, your Social Security is going to turn on, you're going to go on Medicare. You're not going to need that income at that level forever. We're still just going to stick to this $840,000. If the market keeps cooperating for the next few years, you can collect $6,000 a month, and you don't have to worry about running out because we're going to hold to this $840,000. Should we breach below that 840 and stay there for longer than 3 months, then we would in fact reduce your income to $4,050 a month. So we have to plan ahead of time. So what does that mean? Well, during Corona, that meant we're not going to take this vacation, or maybe it means you're going to gift to your kids a little bit less that year. You're going to practice saying, I'm living on a fixed income. And so we're going to figure out ahead of time what that means for your budget. But then as long as the market stays above that amount, we're fine. Another way that this works, Tom, is if you say, hey, Benjamin, I've been driving by this RV dealership every day on my way home from work. And I think that's the key to my retirement happiness is $100,000 plopped down on an RV. Now, of course, I'm going to tell you should rent an RV ahead of time so that you can learn how to make those hard right turns on someone else's rear fender, not your own. But if you need $100,000, that's great. We'll just take $100,000 out of your IRA and take the withholding. We're just that much closer to that next retirement. We're just that much closer to the next reduction should the market choose to not cooperate. So you don't have $1 million in your portfolio anymore. You've got 890,000 because we took that 110 out for your RV. We've got just a little bit of buffer left, and then we'll reduce that number over time. Another way that really helps is, let's say you turn on your favorite cable news channel and Canada has invaded New Jersey and the stock market is down 25%. All you've got to do is you've got to log into your Fidelity. We've got this number householded at the top of the page. And if you're $1 over 840,000, you can just go back to living your awesome retirement. You don't have to think again about running out of money. If you drop below that amount and we stay there for more than 3 months, we know that your $4,500 a month income, we're going to encourage you to drop that down to $4,000 until the market recovers. So it pulls all that scariness out. The number. Life does not have to change until you drop below that number. Big withdrawals. Hey, Tom, this is your money. You can spend it however you like. But if you don't want to run out of income, here's the number where we have to reduce to ensure we don't run out over time. So this is going to be a gradual, slow to a stop income-wise rather than sprinting at a brick wall. So that's kind of the super fast version of how I present guardrails.
Hey, Ben.
It covers the flexible income and it covers the how do I take out lump sums. Those are the really big questions a lot of people have.
I know that Jarvis uses 5.7%, I think. How did you end up at 5.4?
5.4 is the 60-40. I think he uses the 70-30.
I got you. Okay.
How do you deal with fluctuations over time? Like, is this what the $1 million at the moment they retire and you're going to stick it like that? Or if it goes up to 1.2 million next year, how do you adjust that up and down?
Yeah, so that's the beauty of the guardrails is you basically never adjust them unless you have to recalculate. So the portfolio value goes up all the time, but the income is static. And so it's all about the portfolio going, hovering around that income. So
what do you do when they're leading up to retirement? Like they're a year out or a couple of years out?
It's always hypothetical. It's always hypothetical until we're taking that money out.
Okay.
And then we just keep it at 5.4%. Now their income, I mean, really likely isn't going to be that exact number, but we've talked about this hopefully 4 or 5 times before they're actually living it. And so if they're taking 4,000 a month, we're really still focused on this number, but it's less hard and fast. If they're taking out $6,000 a month, great. It's the same thing as taking out a lump sum. We're just that much closer to that next recalculation.
So when you're showing it to clients, if they're taking 6,000, are you still showing them the 4,500? Like this is what you're supposed to be taking? Okay. And what if they're taking like much less, like they're taking 2,500 out? Are you still showing the 45? Like this is what you could be taking?
Yep.
Okay. So it's whatever, when they retire,
just
whatever.
Reinforcing how conservative they really are being.
Got it.
Yep. I'm not sure what number I would, because if they're taking out, let's just do halves, right? If they're taking out 2.2%, or what would half be? 2.75%, right? You could half everything again, right? So rather than accounting for a 20% plus or minus on the portfolio, really you could account for a 40% plus or minus. But that just gets too many facts and figures for the client. So I want to show them that they're underspending where they could be. Hopefully maybe encouraging them to spend more, right? This portfolio represents untapped retirement potential. I want to see them maximize their potential. So I feel a lot of times people underspend because they have that fear of running out, right? So just have to reinforce, if we follow this, our chances of running out are so slim, because we're good. If the market goes down or doesn't do anything, we're slowly reducing over time.
And the Guyton research is pretty interesting. Like people fearing the cuts, like I think in some of the worst time periods, it was only cut 2, maybe 3 times in the whole 30 or 40 years.
Yeah, from memory, I think it's 2 or 3 cuts and like 5 or 6 or 7 raises. Like it's
yeah, it's something, it's unexpected.
Yeah, it is. And I think if you read Michael Kitces's research on the 4% rule, you've got like a coin flip chance of starting out with what you are ending out with what you started with. So 2 million day one of retirement, 2 million last day of retirement, and you had 30 years of cash flows. And you've got like a 25% chance of 4xing your original investment. So the 4% rule is just based on that worst case scenario. I mean, there were 30-year periods where an 11% withdrawal rate worked. We just don't know until we're looking backwards.
Yep.
So the 4% rule strength is, this is the worst case scenario. Let's play it out, which makes sense to us as advisors that would be way too conservative, right? This is saying, let's start 50% higher, but reduce if the market says it's time to reduce. So I just think flexibility and having that scary number, bringing it to light and talking about it will take the scariness away from it.
And at the end of the day, it is actual financial planning. Like it's saying, okay, we're planning for this scenario. If it falls below 840, this is our plan for this.
And how much more valuable, Matt, is that conversation than your large cap growth fund did 11% last year? And we don't know what it's going to do next year. So let this fill the vacuum of not ever talking about performance again.
Yeah.
When you say it's based on 60-40 and Jarvis is based on 70-30, you're talking about capital market assumptions on portfolio mix?
Yeah, I think if you look at this Guyton and Klinger white paper, I think it was for the FPA back 100 years ago. I think they actually do like a 90% or 100% equity allocation. So you can get up to like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10%, something like that. So for me, 60-40, we're actually a little bit closer to 50-50 right now. You know, it's napkin math. This is a brainstorming exercise, right? This isn't carved into stone tablets, right? This is all about flexibility and just understanding what their plan is capable of and what a sustainable, flexible spending rate is. Because I feel like a ton of conversations can be packed into this. Lump sum spending, overspending, underspending, taxes can be looped into this, Roth conversions, gifting, it all can be kind of in this conversation, and it's just a squiggly line.
So do you update the portfolio value like on a yearly basis?
Don't need to. It's all about income. The income is static. It's all about income with respect to the portfolio. So yeah, so the portfolio changes every day, but that doesn't matter. When the income changes, well, we'd have to come back to this and tweak it a little bit.
So do you send the Guardrails report on a yearly basis as a reminder, or you just do it once and you're done?
We should be sending it every year proactively. We haven't implemented that yet, but we do talk Guardrails every year
Gotcha.
either in our May or November point, whichever one seems like it's kind of lighter content wise.
So is there a scenario where you would ever update the guardrail portfolio value? I'm thinking maybe if the portfolio exceeded or increased 20% in value, or if it declined more than 20% in value.
Yep. So this is just, it puts a bracket 20% above and 20% below. And so we can tweak our income to match that. So we can reset or recalculate the guardrails if we need to. Maybe they get an inheritance, you know, they've got $1 million and they inherit 500,000. Maybe we come back and recalculate this and say, hey, gosh, we can increase your spending by $2,000 a month, or you could gift 20,000 a year. We could, you know, use that to guide our hand for the next financial planning topic we tackle for them with them.
Okay.
And then it's also, this doesn't really show up in the thing, but it's got some of our, you know, war chest of stocks and bonds, strategic rebalancing, diversification, tax efficiency, discipline. Yeah. So when I send it to them, you know, I just copy this with our disclosure at the bottom, save it as a PDF, and zap it to them. I keep the math off of it because, not because I'm trying to keep secrets, but I think people focus too much on that and they want to figure out how they can kind of like goose it a little bit. And I don't want to mess with my assumptions. So